Hello everyone, welcome to I'll Be Sewing. My name is Gina, and today I want to show you how to make this bag here. As you see, it's like that. Has the handle here, has this little pull here. You can do this with fabric, and when you open, it's like that with the two zippers. So I'm gonna start with some measurements. We're gonna start, of course, with measurements, and so you can make one of these for yourself or for family and friends. Christmas is around the corner. Looks like, flies, and this probably would be a really nice gift for anybody. Okay, so let's get started with the measurements. So I'm gonna be using these fabrics here that I have here, and what I have here on this bag here, you see this is cork handle that I have here. And for that one and this one here in the back, because this one kind of helps you, this one here in the front helps you when you want to open it, and this one here in the back helps you when you want to close it. So we have the two handles, one in each hand. And I use cork on this one as an accent. You can do this with fabric, doesn't have to be cork, of course. And for those two pieces, I have two pieces here, and this is 4.5, and I cut by 7, but you're not gonna need it as big. It depends how big do you want it, meaning how from the bag to this direction here, how big do you want it? I didn't want mine very big. I probably might still turn the 7 inches down. We'll see, But I always make it a little bit bigger, then I make it adjustments if I really don't like the way it looks. Okay. So we have those two pieces. Then we have, for our body of the bag, we have here, I picked this butterfly one here, and the measurement from here is 15 by 13. So it's 15 inches this way and 13 this way, the width. And on that, you're also going to need a piece of lining, the same. And I'm using here Soft and Stable. I already went ahead, it's fusible to one side, so I see it's fused to my fabric. So I have Soft and Stable here already fused to my fabric just to speed up the project. Then for this part here where the zippers are, we're going to need a piece. I have here 4 inches. It's 4 inches by 15. And then I have two zippers, about 16. I use zipper by the yard, and I sell these on the website if you guys are looking for them. But if you're not, try to use the longer zipper and then cut it down later, because it will be a lot easier to quilt it, because this project is quilted after we put the bag pretty much together. I'll show you how. So I have about 16 inches. Then of course I have my two zipper pulls here, one for each one. I also have, as you see on this side here, there's a little piece of fabric here that takes here, and this is, I have 3 inches, just double check, it's 3 inches, and I have by 8 inches, but again, we're going to trim this down. It's not going to be exactly 8 inches long. It's going to be really about 5 inches that you need. But it's pieces that I had sitting around, so I left it as 8 inches, and then I trim it down as you need. And I have two pieces, one for here, and the other one, if I open it, you see there's a little piece here that goes here. There's also that little piece that we're going to need. That's that. Then I'm going to need, of course, this bag has binding on the inside. So if I turn it to the other side, it's all finished, as you see, with binding. So on that I have here, you can cut a long strip if you're cutting from fabric that you have one whole piece. I have here about 4 pieces of 2 inches by 13, and I think that should do my bag. If I need any more, I can always trim a little bit more down, but it should pretty much do my bag. This part here that I mentioned that we need, that goes in between the zippers, is 4 inches wide by 15. What I did forget to mention is you're also going to have Soft and Stable fused to that part, and then you're also going to need a piece for lining also for that. Okay, and I think for materials we pretty much cover. I'm using this as my pull for my zippers, like what I did here on this one. Let me just turn it to the other side. So I'm using these little metal ones that I actually bought it in one craft store because I think they just add to the bag. But you can make these with fabric. You can make a little strip of fabric and then attach it to each side of the zipper, to this side and this side here, and sew it on, so you have a little piece like that. I'm going to be using these, so I already have one in this type of metal. If you go to jewelry stores or something like that, you can definitely use these type of things and just add those little closures, one to each side, and then do that too also yourself if you really want to. I think it just adds a little bit to the bag, so hopefully you like it. Okay, so let's get started now with sewing instructions. So I'm gonna put the binding to the side because I'm not gonna need it for a little while. And those little pieces for the sides I'm also not gonna need for a while. However, what I'm gonna start now is with my zippers. I'm gonna put the pulls for now. I don't need those now. So we're gonna start with the zipper. So lining to the side too. What we're gonna do here, so I have my main piece, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna turn it to this side and I'm gonna make some measurements. On my 13 side, so this is 15 by 13. So from here to here is 15. I'm gonna get my ruler. I already did my markers. I'm just gonna show you what you need to mark to create our pattern. So we're gonna go from here to here 1¼ inches, and you're gonna draw a line. You're gonna go here to this side 1¼ you're gonna draw a line that I already have there. And then from that line that you drew there, you're gonna go ahead here and you're gonna draw 1½ inches high from here to here, 1½, and from here to here 3 inches. It's double. So the size that I'm doing here, so if I'm doing 1½ inch, double that is 3 inches. So that's why I'm doing 3 inches long. It's to create my corner of the bag. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. 1½ up, 3 inches this way, and do that square. And I'm gonna do on this side the same thing, and on this side the same thing. If I wanted my bag to be taller, I could do, instead of doing 3 inches by 1½, I could do 4 inches, and then I would do 2 inches up and 4 inches this way, and you end up with a taller bag. Let me show you one that I have here so you understand that. You'd end up with a bag taller like this, smaller this way, but a lot taller than what I have here. But then again, if you do that, what's gonna happen is the piece that goes in the middle with 2 zippers, it's gonna change. It's gonna be more narrow. So the 4 inches is not gonna work anymore. So we're gonna have to cut it down. Okay, but I'm gonna show you how you can make those adjustments on this one because I have 4 here, and my 4 might not still be good. I might still have to trim a little bit, but I'll show you how to get there. So after you make all those measurements, we're gonna get a set of scissors. We're gonna trim them off. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut them. So where you're gonna end up with a piece like this. The lining, you're gonna have to have the same thing, but the lining we don't have to cut it yet. We can cut it later, and I'll show you how. We can leave that for now. So if you see, if I fold this in where my corner is, see, this would be my 1½ corner that I would have measured 1½, 1½, and I would cut it there. Okay, do you understand? And this part here in the middle is where my strip here, it's going to go with the zippers. Okay, you understand so far? So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sew the zippers. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my zippers here. I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna sew it right sides together, and I'm gonna go ahead and sew this across. I'm gonna get the other one and sew it across. So one here, right sides down, across, one here, right sides up, down, across, and I'll show you when it's done. So I sew my zippers to these sides, and as you see, now if I brought this to the middle, this is already a touch added, a couple inches here. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my other piece here, and I'm going to go ahead and sew this to this side, the same thing. So what you have to make sure is try to level these pieces here out. So you put it up like that, and you're going to go ahead and sew that there. So I'm just going to put a couple pins because I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. And then you're going to go ahead and bring this here. Same thing. Make sure it matches there, and you're going to bring it there. So the right side of the zipper with right side of that piece, and you're going to go ahead and attach it there. Okay. You're going to go ahead and sew this because we might need to take one seam out because everything changes depending of your seam allowance or what size you're using here. So that 4 inches might not work for you, might work for mine, but might not work for you. So if I just put pins here more or less where I'm going to sew, if I know I'm going to sew there, and I fold this down here, these should end up exactly the same. See, mine look okay, but if your seam allowance is not exactly as mine or your zipper is different, this part here might be too big. You might have to cut it down. So that's why, what are you going to do? You're going to sew this like this first, and then we're going to turn it to the right side, and then we're going to check. If it's too big, then all you have to do is take one of these sides out and trim it down whatever the difference is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew mine. So I sew the zipper to that piece, and I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to check, see if my pieces match. Okay, mine actually match. If they don't match, what you do is you take one seam out here, the seam to the middle part, this middle part, don't take the seam to the bag itself, to the main body, to the piece here in the middle, because this piece in the middle can be smaller. And if you're using size 3, you might actually want to cut 4.5 instead of 4 inches, because the size 3 is a lot more narrow. See, this one is quite wide. If you see here, I have almost 3/4 of an inch here, in between here, and the size 3 probably is not going to give you that. So it might give you a little bit less, so you might end up being a little short. So size 5 will work like this, and I have here about, I would say, about not exactly 1/4 of an inch, a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, so on each side of the tape. But again, if you have a problem, you go like this and you see your piece is bigger, this top here, they don't match here, they don't give you the proper square here when you put them together, then you're going to go ahead and take one seam out, this seam out in here, and you're going to trim this down a tiny little bit. Okay? So after you've done this, I already noticed that mine is good, so I don't need to cut anything down. So I'm good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add my lining. So now that I know I'm good, I can add the lining. So I'm going to go ahead and get the pieces for the lining, and I can start with the middle here. And now I can go ahead and separate my zipper because it will be easier for me to sew my lining. So I'm going to go ahead, and if you have a really long zipper, you open it. I'm going to go ahead and put right side to right side here. Match this part here. And I'm going to go ahead and sew that. Just going to put a pin. Okay. Then I'm going to again take this part off. And I'm going to go ahead and sew my lining right side zipper in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead sew this side and sew this side to my zipper. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same here. I'm gonna get my lining. And I'm gonna put it right side to right side, put it there, and sew my lining. What I wanna do is, I wanna sew on this side where I already have the seam, so I can follow the same seam. And remember that I told you I wasn't worried about these pieces. I didn't cut in my lining. I can leave it there for now because I'm still gonna quilt and I can trim these parts later. Doesn't have to be done right in the beginning. You can definitely leave it like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and sew my lining here to this side and this side. And I'll show you in a minute. So I sew my lining to my pieces like this. So I want to turn these out to the right side. So this one here, it's a little tricky because it's kind of narrow, but I mean, you can definitely do it. It's not that hard. Okay, so your next step now is do a top stitch here, a top stitch here, top stitch here and here, and then you're gonna go ahead and quilt it. So after you quilt it, all quilted, so I can go ahead and kind of do that and show you your next step. So I went ahead and I quilted everything, and you end up with a piece like this and one like this. Now you put your pulls back. Okay, you see that's the piece that's missing. I'm gonna go ahead and here, this is where you gotta pay attention because they have to be even. So I'm just gonna go ahead, trim a little piece here. Okay, so you're gonna bring the zipper to the middle and you are gonna end up with a piece like that. So what I want you to do now is we're gonna turn this to the wrong side. Okay, and this is the part that you gotta pay attention. Okay, so we can go ahead and trim our zippers here, and if you notice my zipper closes this way. If I look at this, I want, when the zipper closes this way here, this is where I'm gonna have this part opening here. So if it closes this way, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put these parts here together. I can trim this and I can go ahead and already sew this across. Okay, so I'm gonna put those together. I'm gonna go ahead and just trim the zipper here. My blade didn't do a very good job, so okay, so this is cut, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a seam here. So I'm gonna sew right across here so I don't lose my zippers when I open it. Right? So this side here, I'm gonna go ahead and open this here to here. All right, I'm gonna push this part back. But don't forget to sew this here, because then if your zipper, if this comes back, then that means you're gonna lose it again and you're gonna have to insert the zippers again. So I would go ahead and sew that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back. I'm gonna get my piece that was 3 inches. I'm gonna fold it in half. And I'm gonna go ahead and sew it here. You see it's longer than what I have here, but it's okay, I can trim it after. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew this across here. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna push this back so you guys can see it better. Okay. you're gonna go ahead and sew that piece there. After that piece is done sewed here, you see this piece here, you're gonna take this one out and put it evenly with this part here, like that, and you're gonna go ahead and sew that there, just this piece here with the zipper down and everything. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and then sew this piece here to the edge here. Just make sure these match. They go in here and they match here in the corner. So I'm gonna go ahead and just trim this so you can see it better. I'm gonna trim it to the size. So I'm sewing this like that right here after this is done. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do that and I'll show you the next step. So I sew this part here and I sew this part here. Now what we need to do, we need to finish these edges. So you can go ahead and trim these edges of the zipper here. And you're gonna get those 2 inches strips, and you're gonna cut one for here and one for here. Okay, and you're gonna go ahead and sew it. So you're gonna sew. We've done this in other videos. Then after you sew, you're gonna turn it to this side, fold it, and finish it just like that. Okay, so you're gonna do that to both sides. Okay, and then we kind of ready to add the straps and close the corners. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I sew the binding there and there. Now I need to add my straps. So you're gonna get your strap. You can do with fabric or I did cork. So what do you do? It was almost 5 inches, 4.5 inches. What I did is I folded in half, fold in half, and in half. If you're doing with fabric, I suggest you put a little bit of interfacing so it's a little bit more, it's a little bit stronger. Okay, so then you sew both ends. So of course, half, 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 fold it in half, and then you're going to be sewing here and here. Okay, so I have mine here. So before I do any further, I need to close my corners here. This side here, you see where it has, let me put a pin here so show you a little bit better, where it has this piece that we put down first, this part here. So this part has to go up with the corner here. Okay, so it has to go up with the corner here, and then you're gonna bring that up like that. And if you're not sure where the middle is, you can always go here and clip a little side here just to mark your center. Go ahead and do 12/4. And so we were doing this side here, so you're gonna go ahead and bring that to the center here with that piece, as I mentioned, this piece sitting up into the corner. And then you're gonna get your handle and you're gonna go in here, you're gonna put it from the inside, and you're gonna bring it right to the top here, right to the top here. So let me turn it to the other side so maybe you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. So because sometimes can get a little confusing. So I'm just gonna turn it to this side. So you see when we're sewing this corner, this part is going to be like this, and the strap is going to be in here. Okay, so if I went ahead and I sew my strap right here and right here, and then when I turn it around, it's right to the top. So like that. So you're going to go ahead, put those together and sew across. Some of you have asked that I sew a lot of layers, which sewing machine I have. I actually have, I just purchased a new machine, and it's called the Accomplish by Baby Lock. It handles a lot of layers. Only does straight stitch. It's a very simple machine. Only does the straight stitch. But for bags and this type of work, it's really good because it handles the layers very well. So you're gonna go ahead and bring that up, center your corner, and like that. Put a pin or a clip. Probably in this case here, because it's so thick, maybe clips would work a little bit better. I don't have my clips here on my table, so I'm just gonna manage to pin this with the pins. Okay, so like that. And we're gonna do the same to this side. Just gonna close the zipper a little bit because it will be a little bit easier. So I'm gonna get my handle. Again, close to the top, like that. I'm gonna center my corner and sew across. What do you want to do? This part here that has the binding, you want to push this down, not up. Don't sew this up, sew this down. So not towards the zipper, towards the bottom of the bag. Okay, there, and then the handle on this side. So after you attach, sew this, you're going to do the binding again, and we've done this again in different videos. You're going to go ahead and cut the strips that you have at 2 inches. You're going to go ahead and sew, leave it a little bit bigger here on the side so we can fold. So I'm going to go ahead and sew, add the strips, and I'm just going to leave one so I show you how I did it, and then we'll finish this part here. Okay, so I put the binding in all of them. I just left one here to show you. So you sew your strip there, and then you go ahead and fold here. You can put a little clip to hold it in place, and fold here, clip in place. Then you're gonna go ahead and fold all the way into there, and then you're gonna bring that in there just to where your other seam is. Put the clip there and that there, and you can go ahead and sew that seam. So for now I'm not going to go ahead and sew that seam until I'm going to show you to finish this part, and then when I go to the machine I sew that one and this one. So here, this part here, we can go ahead and finish it and cut it off. Here, just fix it up here, go across. You can go, where's my cutter? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. Make sure it's straight, so line up that somewhere there and somewhere there, make sure it's straight, and you're going to trim that off. Then you're going to get a piece, the other piece that we had that was a little longer was, I think, let me see, I have 3 inches. We had it by 8, but we didn't need it that long. But you're going to grab this and you're going to go ahead here and you're going to do this here. So you're going to put our right sides together like that. You're going to go here, put it almost right to the edge, see? And you're going to go ahead and put it like this. So in this case, the 8 inches is good because I'm just have a little bit here for seam allowance. As you see, there's a little bit seam allowance. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep it really, the fold here, and I'm going to go ahead sew a seam this way. And then when I get here really, really close to my zipper, I'm also going to do a seam this direction, but missing the zipper, just beside the zipper, right? So I'm going to go, so if I put a pin here, right beside the zipper is where my seam is going to be. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and finish the other one. So I sew across and sew it down. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim a little bit this bulk here, this little corner here. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that a little closer. Then you're going to turn this to this side here. Okay. You're going to go ahead and fold this in all the way into where your other part is. So as much as you can, you're going to fold it in. Then you're going to end up with a little piece like this. Right? I have some threads here. Okay, there you go. So then you're going to go ahead and take this to the sewing machine. And you're going to be sewing this like this all the way around. Okay? And that part is done. So now we're gonna go ahead and turn it to the other side. Let's have a look. So then I'm just gonna go here, push one at a time because I don't have my pusher yet. So you can definitely sew a little piece of fabric, you know, make a little piece of fabric, a thin strip. Let's see, I'm just gonna roll this up just to show you. And then have to be thinner than this. Let's see. Let's cut a little piece here. Of course, you would have to sew this. I would do it a little slightly wider because this would be a little bit harder to sew. And then you can definitely go here to the zipper, or even ribbon or string or whatever you want, and you can add it here and then add it to here, and that be your pull for the two zippers. In my case, I have these that I bought. This one I actually made out of old jewelry that I had. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach this one to this part of the zipper. Okay, and then I have my pull. So this part here, after you sew it here, you can go ahead if you want, add a couple of those plastic snaps, one here, one there, to leave it closed if you want. But it has this here, by the time you pull it like this, it stays pretty close. You see? It stays pretty close. So you probably don't have to worry about it. The handles are in. On this one here, as you see, I actually touched the handle with rivets. I didn't actually sew them in. So if you're doing, because I was doing cork, I didn't really need to sew these in. I could just leave it on the outside because cork doesn't really fray, so I don't have to finish these edges. So this is the other one. And again, you can definitely add some magnetic snaps to the bottom here. But the bag is done. I hope you like this bag. I hope that you'll make some and send us pictures. You can definitely send us pictures to my Facebook page. Also, most of these fabrics are on the website, and even the zippers by the yard, so you can check that out. And we'll see you next time for another video. Happy sewing, everyone.